Imagine this. You're standing in one of the most beautiful places on Earth. A cliffside estate overlooking the endless blue ocean, waves crashing gently below, the sun setting in this perfect golden glow, white tints fluttering in the warm breeze, flowers everywhere, champagne flowing, 350 guests all dressed to impress, family, friends, influencers, even a few low-key celebrities. It's the kind of wedding that people dream about their whole lives. The one that's been planned down to every last detail for months, maybe years. The bride is radiant in her designer gown, veil trailing behind her like something out of a fairy tale, smiling at her new husband, everything feeling magical, untouchable. And then, during the toasts, the moment everyone has been waiting for, the grandfather of the bride steps up to the microphone. He's an older man, distinguished, the kind of person everyone respects, the one who helped raise her, who was always there. He starts off warm, voice steady, sharing sweet memories that have half the room tearing up already. You can feel the emotion in the air. Phones out recording, everyone thinking this is going to be one of those heartwarming speeches that goes viral, for all the right reasons. But then, his tone shifts, just a little at first, and he starts talking about what family really means. About showing up when it matters most, not when it's convenient. The crowd gets quiet, a little uncomfortable maybe, but still listening. And that's when he drops it, calmly, clearly, for everyone to hear. How this very bride, his granddaughter, the one glowing in white right there, asked him to move her grandmother's funeral because it clashed with the wedding date. Non-refundable deposits, can't mess up the schedule. The grandmother who raised her after her parents died tragically young, who sewed her prom dress by hand, who sacrificed everything to give her the world. You could hear a pin drop. Faces freeze. The bride's smile vanishes. Phones are still recording, but now it's for all the wrong reasons. And he doesn't stop there. He reveals the gift, a framed document. The entire $7 million inheritance. Gone. Donated. Every penny redirected. To build a children's hospital wing in her grandmother's name and to support orphan kids. The kind of legacy that actually means something lasting. Not another luxury upgrade or honeymoon suite. The humiliation is instant, total. Whispers turn to gasps, guests shifting in their seats. Some already heading for the exits. The perfect day? The one she chose over saying goodbye to the woman who loved her most. Shattered in front of everyone who matters to her. And by morning, it's all over social media. Tabloids picking it up, TikToks dissecting every moment. Her dream wedding becomes the ultimate cautionary tale. If you've ever felt that burning sense of injustice when someone close to you puts material things, status, appearances over family, over real love and loyalty, then this story is going to hit you hard. This is one of those revenge tales where the payback isn't petty or mean-spirited, it's pure, poetic justice served ice cold on the biggest stage possible, the kind that leaves you fist-pumping by the end, feeling like the universe finally balanced the scales. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into this one today. It's long, it's emotional, and it's packed with every heartbreaking detail that makes these stories so addictive. If you're someone who's ever been taken for granted, underestimated, or straight up betrayed by family, this one's for you. Stick around till the end for that massive catharsis we all crave. And hey, if you're already feeling that fire building, do me a favor right now. Smash that like button to let me know you're here for real justice stories like this. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. Because trust me, we've got more coming that will blow your mind. Drop a comment too. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you've ever dealt with someone who valued a party over people, let's get into it. The old Victorian house perched on that quiet hill in Connecticut had always felt like a warm hug. The kind of place where time slowed down and memories wrapped around you like a blanket. For over 55 years, it was filled with the sounds that made it a home. My wife Evelyn's soft humming as she baked those famous apple pies that everyone begged for at holidays. The scratch of her pen as she wrote letters to old friends. The gentle creak of the rocking chair on the porch where she'd sit, reading stories aloud, even when there was no one around to listen anymore. Evelyn was the heart of everything. Her laughter could light up the darkest days. And her kindness, man, it was the real deal. She had this way of making everyone feel seen, important. And for our granddaughter Sophia, she was everything a mother should be and more. Sophia came to us when she was just 8 years old. After the unthinkable happened, a car accident that took both her parents, my daughter and her husband, way too soon. Evelyn and I didn't hesitate. We opened our doors, our hearts, and turned that big old house into her safe haven. Evelyn stayed up nights helping with homework, drove her to every dance practice and school play, sewed that prom dress by hand when Sophia fell in love with a design that no store carried. I remember Evelyn's fingers pricked from the needle, but she just smiled and said it was worth it to see Sophia light up. We sacrificed quietly, the way grandparents do, cashed in savings bonds to help with college tuition, took out a second mortgage to cover the down payment on her first apartment when she moved to the city for her big marketing job. Evelyn even skipped her own treatments once or twice early on when money was tight, saying Sophia's future came first. We were proud, watching her grow into this confident, beautiful woman, landing that high-profile job, getting engaged to a guy who seemed successful, stable. But somewhere along the way, things started to shift. Little things at first. Visits became less frequent. Excuses piling up, work trips, weekend getaways, planning sessions for the wedding that seemed to take over her life. Phone calls got shorter, texts replaced real conversations. Evelyn would brush it off, say young people are busy building their lives. But I saw the hurt in her eyes when Sophia canceled yet another Sunday dinner because of some bridal appointment or venue tasting. And then Evelyn got sick. Cancer. Aggressive. The doctors gave us the news in that sterile office, and it felt like the floor dropped out. But Evelyn, true to form, faced it with grace, fighting every step. Chemo sessions that left her weak, but still smiling when Sophia did manage a quick visit early on. Those first few weeks, Sophia was there more, bringing coffees, sitting by the bed holding Evelyn's hand. We thought maybe this would bring us closer again, remind her of what really matters. But as the treatments dragged on, the visits tapered off. Excuses again, wedding stress is overwhelming. The planner needs decisions now. Fittings can't be rescheduled. Evelyn never complained. She'd just look out the window at her rose garden and say softly, "She's got a lot on her plate, poor thing." But I knew it broke her heart a little more each time. Toward the end, Evelyn was in hospice at home. The house quiet except for the hum of machines and the nurses coming and going. She was frail, but her mind was sharp, and all she talked about was Sophia. When is she coming next? Did she like the flowers I suggested for the centerpieces? I called Sophia one afternoon, voice already thick with what was coming. "Sophia, honey, it's time. Grandma's slipping. If you want to say goodbye, come soon." There was a pause, background noise of laughter, clinking glasses like she was at some event. Then, "I'm so sorry, Grandpa. Work's insane, and we're finalizing the guest list this week. I'll try to swing by next weekend." Next weekend never came. Evelyn passed peacefully in her sleep 2 nights later, holding my hand. The rose garden blooming outside her window like she planned it that way. I sat there in the rocking chair for hours, phone in my lap, staring at her photo on the screen. Our last anniversary, her smiling like she didn't have a care in the world. At 78, losing the love of your life after 55 years together. It hits different. The house felt heavier, emptier than I could have imagined. Finally, I dialed Sophia. It rang a few times, then her voice, bright but hurried. "Grandpa? Everything okay?" "No, sweetheart. It's not. Grandma's gone. This morning." Peaceful. A sharp intake of breath, then silence. I waited for the tears, the questions, the "I'm on my way." Instead, a text popped up almost immediately. "OMG, Grandpa. I'm devastated. She was like my mom. But listen, the wedding is in 2 weeks. Everything's locked in. The venue, the caterer, flights for guests. Can we schedule the funeral for after? Like the following week? Deposits are non-refundable, and rescheduling now would be a nightmare. Please understand." I read it twice, 3 times, the words blurring. She was asking to move her grandmother's funeral. The final goodbye to the woman who raised her, who gave her everything. Because it might inconvenience the wedding schedule. My chest tightened, a mix of grief and something hotter, sharper. All those sacrifices, the love poured into her life, traded for table linens and flower arrangements. I didn't respond right away, just sat there, memories flooding in. Little Sophia running through the halls, Evelyn chasing her with giggles. The nights Evelyn rocked her through nightmares after losing her parents. The pride in Evelyn's eyes at Sophia's graduation. even though she was already feeling the first pain she ignored. And now this. That cold text was the breaking point, the moment everything crystallized. Sophia had chosen the wedding, the image, the perfect Instagram life over the real one. The one built on love and loss and showing up. But I wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. I didn't answer Sophia's text that day. I couldn't. My thumb just hovered over the screen, while the words burned into my eyes again and again. Non-refundable deposits. Nightmare to reschedule. Like moving a funeral was the same as shifting a brunch reservation. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that presses in on you from all sides. I walked from room to room like a ghost, touching things Evelyn had left behind. Her gardening gloves still on the porch rail. A half-finished crossword on the kitchen table. The faint smell of her rosewater lotion lingering in the bedroom. Every corner held a memory of her. And now every corner held a memory of Sophia too. The little girl who used to fall asleep on Evelyn's lap during thunderstorms. The teenager who cried into Evelyn's shoulder after her first heartbreak. The young woman who stood in our living room in her college graduation cap, arms around both of us, promising she'd never forget where she came from. But she had forgotten. Or worse, she'd decided some things were more important. The days after Evelyn passed blurred together. Neighbors brought casseroles. Old friends stopped by with quiet hugs and stories about how Evelyn had touched their lives. The hospice nurses came one last time to collect the equipment, and each of them told me how much they'd loved caring for her. How she'd asked about Sophia right up until the end. Did she get the flowers I picked out? Is she happy with the dress? I arranged the service for the following Saturday at the little stone church in town where Evelyn and I got married, where Sophia was baptized after we took her in. Simple, dignified, just like Evelyn would have wanted. Lilies on the altar, her favorite hymns. A reception afterward in the church hall with coffee and the apple pie. Recipes she'd perfected over decades. I sent Sophia the details in a short email. No anger, no lecture. Just the time, the place, and a line that said we'd love to see her there if she could make it. Her reply came 2 days later, another text, this one even breezier. Hey Grandpa, thanks for the info. I feel terrible, but the wedding venue just confirmed that entire weekend is locked with deliveries. Setup, rehearsal dinner, everything. There's literally no way to move things around now. Can we do the service the week after? Most guests are already flying in early for pre-wedding events anyway. I know Grandma would understand. She always said my happiness was the most important thing. I sat down hard in the kitchen chair. My happiness was the most important thing. Evelyn had said that. Yes, but never like this. Never as an excuse to skip her own goodbye. I thought about all the times Evelyn had put Sophia first. The Christmas, we skipped our own vacation to pay for Sophia's study abroad. The year, Evelyn worked extra shifts at the library to cover wedding venue deposits when Sophia and her fiancé claimed they were a little short. The quiet way Evelyn would defend Sophia to me whenever I worried she was drifting too far into that shallow, influencer-filled world she'd built in the city. She's young, Henry. She'll find her way back to us. But she didn't. And now Evelyn was gone. And Sophia was choosing centerpieces over closure. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not explosive anger, nothing that dramatic. More like a quiet click, the way a heavy door locks into place. I'd spent years excusing, understanding, giving second and third and 20th chances. No more. I picked up the phone and called Margaret Whitaker, our family attorney for 40 years. She'd known Evelyn since college, had been at our wedding, cried with us the night we brought Sophia home. Her voice cracked when she answered. Henry, I'm so sorry. How are you holding up? Not great, Margie, but I need to see you. Tomorrow, if you can. It's about the estate. There was a pause. You sure you want to do this now? Grief can. I'm sure, I said. Calmer than I felt. Clearer than I'd felt in years. The next morning I drove to her office in town. The same brick building where Evelyn and I had updated our wills every decade like clockwork. Margaret greeted me with a hug that smelled like the same perfume she'd worn since the 80s. We sat in her conference room with its dark wood and soft light. And I told her everything. The text messages, the excuses, the way Sophia had slowly replaced family with followers, love with likes. Margaret listened without interrupting, just nodding, eyes filling once or twice. When I finished, she leaned back and folded her hands. You want to change the will? Not just change it, I said. I want to protect what Evelyn stood for. All of it. We talked for 3 hours. The original will had been simple. Everything to Sophia, house, investments. The trust we'd built from a lifetime of careful saving and hard work. $7 million, give or take. Enough to set her and her future kids up forever. But now I wanted something different. Something that honored the woman, who'd given everything without expecting anything back. Half the liquid assets, $3.5 million, would go to establish the Evelyn Harper Children's Wing at Connecticut Children's Hospital, a whole new ward for kids fighting cancer, with gardens, play areas, private family rooms. Everything Evelyn wished she'd had during her own fight. The other half would create the Evelyn Harper Orphan Children's Fund. Scholarships, mentoring, emergency support for kids who'd lost parents the way Sophia once had. So no child would ever feel as alone as she did back then. And so they'd know someone out there still cared. The house itself, the Victorian on the hill with the rose garden Evelyn planted one rose bush at a time, would be donated to a nonprofit that turns historic homes into residential care for foster kids aging out of the system. A real home, not an institution. The garden would stay, maintained forever in Evelyn's name. Not a single dollar to Sophia. Not a photo album. Not a piece of jewelry. Not even the rocking chair she used to curl up in as a child. Margaret didn't try to talk me out of it. She just asked once, gently, if I was certain this was what Evelyn would want. I thought about it. Really thought. And I knew in my bones it was. Evelyn never cared about money. She cared about kindness. About showing up. About leaving the world better for the next ones coming along. This was better. We signed the papers that week. Everything legal, airtight, witnessed. And then I waited. Because the best justice doesn't come from screaming or fighting. It comes from timing. 3 weeks after the funeral, which was beautiful, by the way, packed with people whose lives Evelyn had touched. Former library kids, all grown up. Neighbors, nurses, friends. But no Sophia. My phone lit up with her name. I let it ring twice before answering. Grandpa. Her voice was sunshine and honey again. I've been giving you space. I didn't want to overwhelm you. But we miss you so much. The wedding's in 10 days, and we really want you there. It would mean the world. You could even do a toast if you feel up to it. Everyone would love to hear from you. I stayed quiet for a beat, letting her fill the silence. Please say yes, she added. Grandma would have wanted you to be part of the happy day. Happy day? That's what she called it. I told her I'd think about it. Hung up before she could push. 2 days later, another call. This one with her fiancé in the background prompting her. They'd saved me the best seat, arranged a car, even booked a room at the resort. It'll help you heal, Grandpa. Being around family. Family. I said yes. And inside, that quiet click turned into a steady, patient heartbeat. The plan was set. The 10 days leading up to the wedding felt like a lifetime and no time at all. I moved through them in a strange calm. The kind that settles over you when you know exactly what needs to be done and there's no turning back. The house was quieter than ever, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like it was holding its breath, waiting with me. I packed light for the trip, my best navy suit. The one Evelyn always said brought out the blue in my eyes, a crisp white shirt. The silver cufflinks she gave me for our 40th anniversary. And in a simple black leather folder, the documents Margaret had prepared. The new will, the donation agreements, 2 framed certificates, one for the Children's Wing, one for the Orphan Children's Fund, both with Evelyn's name in elegant script across the top. They were heavy in my hands, heavier than paper should be. Sophia texted almost daily, little bursts of excitement. Can't wait to see you, Grandpa. We have a golf cart ready to drive you around the venue so you don't have to walk far. The driver will have your name on a sign at the airport. Oh, and the toast. Everyone is so excited. 5 minutes max. Just speak from the heart. I kept my replies short. Looking forward to it. See you soon. The flight to California was smooth. First class, courtesy of the bride and groom. As the plane cut through clouds, I looked out the window and talked to Evelyn. The way I'd started doing. Since she passed. Quiet conversations in my head, sometimes out loud when no one was around. I told her everything. About the new will. About what I was going to do. About how much I missed her voice telling me whether I was right or crazy. I could almost hear her answer. Soft and steady. Do what brings peace. Henry. Not anger. Peace. And this would. I knew it. The resort was everything the photos promised and more. A private cliffside estate an hour north of San Diego. Manicured lawns rolling right up to the edge of the world. The Pacific stretching out forever below. White tents glowed with fairy lights, even in daylight. Staff in crisp uniforms fluttered around like birds, directing deliveries. Adjusting floral arches that probably cost more than most people's cars. The air smelled of salt and roses and money. A young woman with a clipboard and a bright smile met me at check-in. "Mr. Harper? Right this way. Miss Sophia asked us to upgrade you to the oceanfront villa. She wants you to feel spoiled." The villa was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows. A private patio looking straight out at the waves. Fresh orchids on every surface. A gift basket the size of a small table waited on the counter. Champagne. Artisanal chocolates. A handwritten card from Sophia and her fiancé, Blake. "We're so glad you're here, Grandpa. Tonight is the welcome dinner on the beach. Tomorrow the rehearsal, then the big day. We love you." I set the card down without opening the champagne. That evening's welcome dinner was on the sand. Long tables under string lights. Torches flickering, a steel drum band playing softly. 350 guests. Maybe more, all beautiful. All laughing, all posting. Sophia spotted me the second I stepped onto the beach. She ran over in a flowing white sundress, barefoot, glowing like something out of a magazine. "Grandpa, you made it." She threw her arms around me, perfume strong, voice pitched high with excitement. "Come meet Blake's parents. They've heard so much about you." She dragged me from group to group, introducing me like a trophy. "This is my grandfather, Henry Harper. He and Grandma basically raised me. He's the strongest man I know." People smiled, shook my hand, told me how lucky Sophia was to have me. I smiled back, nodded, made small talk about the view, the weather, how beautiful everything looked. Inside, I cataloged every face. Every camera phone pointed our way. Every influencer discreetly filming for their stories. Blake, the groom, was tall, polished. The kind of handsome that comes with good genes and better grooming. Venture capital guy, early 30s, already worth more than I'd ever be. He clapped me on the shoulder like we'd known each other forever. "Sir, thank you for coming. It means the world. Sophia's been talking nonstop about your toast tomorrow." I looked him in the eye. Wouldn't miss it. That night, alone in the villa, I stood on the patio a long time. The ocean was black and endless, waves crashing steady like a heartbeat. I pulled out my phone and reread Sophia's text from the week Evelyn died. I needed to feel it again, that cold twist in my gut, to make sure I wouldn't soften at the last second. I didn't. The wedding day dawned perfect. Cloudless, warm but not hot. A gentle breeze that made the veils and tent fabric dance just right. I watched from my patio as the estate transformed. Florists swarming with truckloads of white roses and peonies. Photographers setting up drones. A string quartet tuning under a pergola draped in greenery. By early afternoon, guests started arriving in waves. Private cars, shuttles, even a few helicopters thumping overhead. I got dressed slowly, knotting my tie in the mirror, seeing Evelyn's eyes looking back at me in my own reflection. At 4 o'clock, the ceremony began. I sat in the family section, front row, watching Sophia walk down the aisle, on the arm of Blake's father since. I'd quietly declined the honor weeks earlier. She was breathtaking, veil trailing 10 feet behind her, smiling through tears as cameras clicked like gunfire. Vows were said, rings exchanged. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife, and the crowd erupted as they kissed under an arch exploding with flowers. Everyone moved to the reception lawn. Round tables with low centerpieces so no view was blocked. A dance floor already pulsing with music. Waiters circling with champagne flutes. The sunset was turning the sky pink and gold, reflecting off the ocean like a painting. Sophia found me again during cocktail hour, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. "Grandpa, the toast is after the best man and maid of honor, right before dinner. You'll be perfect. Just say whatever feels right." I squeezed her hand. "I've got it ready." The MC, some friend of Blake's who did voiceovers for commercials, took the mic as the sun dipped lower. And now, a very special moment. We've heard from the best man, from the maid of honor. But there's one person whose words we've all been waiting for. The man who helped raise our beautiful bride, who loved her like his own daughter. Please welcome Mr. Henry Harper. Applause rolled across the lawn, warm and genuine. Phones came out instantly. Sophia beamed from the head table, dabbing her eyes with a linen napkin. Blake raised his glass toward me, smiling wide. I walked to the small stage they'd set up, microphone in hand. The ocean spread out behind me like a backdrop. The crowd hushed. 350 faces, maybe more with staff, all looking at me with that soft, expectant smile people wear at weddings. I adjusted the mic, looked out at them, and began. I cleared my throat once, just enough for the mic to catch it, and the last murmurs across the lawn died away completely. The only sound was the soft crash of waves far below and the faint rustle of expensive fabric as people shifted in their seats. "Thank you," I began, my voice carrying clear and steady over the speakers they'd set up around the tents. "It's an honor to stand here on such a beautiful day, celebrating two young people starting their life together." A warm ripple of applause, smiles all around. Sophia was leaning forward at the head table, eyes already glistening. One hand pressed to her chest like she was holding her heart in place. I looked straight at her as I continued. "When a man gets to my age, he spends a lot of time thinking about family, what it really means, how it's built, how it's tested, how it endures." I paused, letting the words settle. Some guests nodded, thinking this was heading into the usual sweet territory. "I remember the day Sophia came into our lives," I said. 8 years old, scared, clutching a little stuffed rabbit after losing both her parents in one cruel moment. My wife Evelyn, God rest her soul, took one look at that child and said, "She's ours now." And from that day on, she was. Soft ahs from the crowd. Phones tilted up higher. Sophia dabbed at her eyes, mouthing "Thank you, Grandpa." Evelyn raised her like her own daughter. Stayed up nights when nightmares came. Sewed costumes for school plays. Taught her how to bake apple pie from scratch. How to plant roses so they'd bloom year after year. She poured every ounce of love she had into that little girl. And when money was tight, Evelyn always found a way. Skipped her own dreams, cashed in savings. Worked extra hours, whatever it took. Because Sophia's happiness, Sophia's future, came first. I could see Blake reaching over to squeeze Sophia's hand. She was fully crying now, happy tears. The kind every bride wants caught on camera. And I'm proud of the woman she's become. I went on, voice still warm. Successful, beautiful, surrounded by all of you wonderful people on this perfect day she's worked so hard to create. Another pause. I let the silence stretch just a beat longer this time. The breeze picked up, fluttering the edges of the tents. But family, real family, isn't measured by how perfect the flowers are, or how many likes the photos get, or how non-refundable the deposits might be. You could feel the shift. A few guests frowned slightly, unsure. Sophia's smile faltered for the first time. Family is measured by who shows up when the lights go out. When the hospital room is cold and quiet and someone you love is taking their last breaths. It's measured by who chooses to be there. No matter how inconvenient, no matter how much it hurts. I turned my gaze fully on Sophia now. She froze. In the weeks before Evelyn passed, she asked for one thing. Just one. To see her granddaughter's face one more time. To hold her hand. To know she wasn't alone. The crowd was dead silent now. No clinking glasses, no whispers, nothing but the ocean. Sophia couldn't come. Not once in those final days. Wedding planning was too demanding. Fittings, tastings, vendor meetings. Deadlines that couldn't be moved. A few gasps rippled outward. Someone at a nearby table whispered, "Oh my God." And when Evelyn left us, when it came time to say goodbye, to give her the send-off she deserved, Sophia sent me a message. She asked if we could reschedule the funeral. Move it to a more convenient week. Because this weekend, this exact weekend, was already booked for her wedding. Deposits were non-refundable, after all. It would be such a nightmare to change things now. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The microphone carried every word perfectly to every corner of that lawn. Sophia sat there in her designer gown. Veil still perfect, face going pale beneath the makeup. Blake's mouth had actually dropped open a little. Phones were still up, but hands were shaking now. Evelyn gave Sophia everything. Her childhood, her education, her sense of security after unimaginable loss. And in return, when Evelyn needed her most, Sophia chose centerpieces and champagne toasts over sitting by her bed. She chose this party over her grandmother's funeral. The silence was absolute. You could hear the waves clearly now, steady and indifferent. "But a promise is a promise," I said, turning to the crowd again. "Sophia asked me weeks ago to give a toast today, and here I am." She also assumed, like she has for years, That Evelyn's and my life's work. $7 million carefully saved and invested would one day be hers to spend as she saw fit. I nodded toward the side of the stage, where Margaret Whittaker, in a simple black dress, had been waiting quietly out of sight. She walked forward carrying a large, beautifully wrapped gift box tied with white ribbon, the kind you'd expect to hold a crystal vase or an engraved photo frame. "This is for the bride and groom," I said. "Their wedding gift from Evelyn and me." Margaret placed the box on a small table they'd set up beside me. All eyes were locked on it. Sophia looked like she might throw up. Blake's face had gone red, then white. "Go ahead," I encouraged gently. "Open it." Blake stood first, legs unsteady, and walked over. Sophia stayed seated, veil trembling as her shoulders shook. He fumbled with the ribbon, lifted the lid. Inside were two large, elegantly framed certificates and a bound copy of the amended will. I stepped back to the mic. "For those who can't see from farther back, let me explain. In the weeks after Evelyn's death, I restructured our entire estate. Every dollar we saved, every investment we built over a lifetime of hard work. $3.5 million has been donated to Connecticut Children's Hospital to build and endow the Evelyn Harper Children's Wing, a new oncology ward designed with gardens, play spaces, and family rooms so no child fights cancer feeling alone, and no parent sits by a bed without comfort. Another $3.5 million establishes the Evelyn Harper Orphan Children's Fund, providing scholarships, housing, and mentorship for children who've lost parents, just like Sophia once did, so they'll always have someone in their corner. And this house, the Victorian on the hill where Sophia grew up, where Evelyn planted every rose with her own hands, will become a permanent home for foster youth aging out of the system. A real home, with gardens that will bloom every spring in Evelyn's memory. Not 1 cent goes to Sophia. Not the money. Not the house. Not even a single rose bush. Because Evelyn's legacy isn't private jets or designer gowns or another beach house. Her legacy is kindness that shows up, love that sacrifices, a life spent lifting others when they fall. And today, in front of every person Sophia wanted to impress most in this world, that legacy will live on through thousands of children who will never know her name but will feel her love anyway. I looked out at the crowd one last time. Some faces were stunned, others tear-streaked. A few nodding slowly like they understood exactly why this had to happen. I set the microphone down on the table next to the open box. Didn't slam it. Didn't storm off. Just turned, walked down the 3 steps of the stage, and made my way along the edge of the lawn toward the path that led back to the villas. Behind me, the silence broke into chaos, murmurs swelling into voices. Chairs scraping, someone sobbing loudly. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes. The videos already uploading. The story already writing itself across phones and group chats and tomorrow's gossip sites. By the time I reached my villa, the sun had set completely. The sky a deep indigo over the dark ocean. I stood on the patio again, breathing in the salt air, and finally let the tears come. Not for Sophia, not even for myself. For Evelyn. For the love she gave so freely. For the fact that, even in death, her goodness would keep reaching out to touch lives she'd never meet. I whispered into the night, "It's done, Evie. She's safe now. Your love is safe." And for the first time since she left me, the ache in my chest eased. Just a little. I didn't sleep much that night. The villa was quiet, but my mind kept replaying the moment the microphone left my hand. The way the air itself seemed to change in that instant. I stood on the patio until the stars faded, listening to the waves, feeling Evelyn right there beside me somehow, her hand on my shoulder like it used to be when life got heavy. By morning, the grounds were all ready, stirring with staff quietly cleaning up what was left of the reception. Most guests had checked out early or moved to the hotel bar to rehash the drama in hushed, excited tones. I took a slow walk along the cliff path, past the tents now stripped of their lights and flowers, past the arch where vows had been spoken just hours before. Everything looked smaller in daylight, almost ordinary. My phone buzzed with notifications I didn't open. I didn't need to. I knew what was out there. Video clips from every angle. Headlines already forming on gossip sites. Group chats exploding among Sophia's carefully curated circle. Bride asked to move grandma's funeral for wedding. Grandpaa drops bomb during toast. $7 million inheritance. Gone in one speech. Most awkward wedding toast ever caught on camera. It went viral before breakfast. Sophia never came to find me. No knock on the villa door, no tearful confrontation, no desperate plea for explanation. Blake didn't either. I heard later through Margaret, who'd stayed the night at the resort, that they'd locked themselves in the bridal suite with their planner and a PR crisis team flown in overnight. Damage control mode. Statements being drafted. How to spin it. How to make me look like the bitter, grieving old man who snapped. But the videos told the truth. Calm. Factual. No yelling. No shaking finger. Just the receipts. The text shown on the big screen. Margaret had quietly arranged to project behind me at the crucial moment. Every word of Sophia's messages, large and clear for everyone to read. No way to deny it. No way to twist it. By the time I boarded my flight home that afternoon, the story had hit major outlets. Morning shows were debating it. TikTok was flooded with reaction videos, some calling me a monster, most calling it the most justified revenge they'd ever seen. Comments poured in by the millions. She tried to reschedule a funeral for table settings. Grandpa didn't raise his voice once and still ended her. This is why you show up for family. I didn't read them all. I didn't need to. The satisfaction wasn't in the public outrage. It was quieter, deeper. Back in Connecticut, the seasons turned. Spring came early that year, and the rose garden Evelyn loved burst into color like it had been waiting for permission. I spent hours out there every day, pruning, weeding, talking to her the way I always had. The nonprofit took possession of the house sooner than expected, and the first group of foster kids moved in by summer. Teenagers aging out of the system, wide-eyed at having a real bedroom, a garden to sit in, someone to cook them dinner and ask how their day went. I visited often, watched them laugh on the porch swing, plant new roses along the fence line. One girl, 16, shy, told me she wanted to be a nurse because her little brother had cancer and no one was there for him the way the new children's wing would have been. She didn't know the wing was being built because of Evelyn. I didn't tell her. Some things are better felt than explained. Groundbreaking for the Evelyn Harper Children's Wing happened that fall. I stood in the dirt with a golden shovel, surrounded by hospital staff, donors, kids in little hard hats. The architect showed me the plans. Floor-to-ceiling windows looking onto a healing garden, colorful murals, private family sleep rooms, a library corner stocked with books Evelyn would have loved. They unveiled the plaque that day, in loving memory of Evelyn Harper, who believed every child deserves to be held through the hardest days. I traced her name with my fingers the same way. I used to trace it on her hand when we sat together in the evenings. The Orphan Children's Fund started, awarding its first scholarships. The following year, full rides, living stipends, mentors, dozens of kids who'd lost everything getting a real shot. I attended a few of the ceremonies, sat quietly in the back, watched them walk across stages in caps and gowns, eyes shining with the kind of hope Evelyn always carried. Sophia never reached out. Not once. No apology, no angry letter, no legal threat. Margaret said their lawyers looked at the will and found it ironclad. Nothing to fight. I heard through distant mutual friends that the marriage lasted less than 2 years. The constant spotlight on that toast. The judgment from Blake's investor circles. The way doors quietly closed on certain invitations, it wore them down. Last I knew, Sophia had gone quiet on social media, moved to a smaller city, started using her mother's maiden name. I didn't feel triumph over that, just a sad kind of finality. Some nights I still sit in what used to be our bedroom, now a guest room in the foster home, rocking in the chair that traveled with me to a small apartment nearby. I think about the little girl who used to run to me covered in mud from the garden, begging for one more story. I grieve her the way I grieved Evelyn. 2 losses, really. But mostly, I feel peace. The kind that comes when you know you protected something sacred. Evelyn's love wasn't wasted. It was redirected, multiplied, sent out into the world to wrap around children who need it most. Her roses still bloom every spring. Her name is spoken with gratitude in hospital hallways and scholarship ceremonies. Her goodness lives. And that's the real inheritance. Not money that can be spent or houses that can be sold. It's the quiet, lasting kind that grows when you choose kindness over convenience, presence over perfection. So if you're watching this and you've ever wondered whether showing up really matters, whether your sacrifices are seen, whether justice finds a way, Take this story as proof. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes heartbreak. But in the end, love that is given freely, fiercely, without expectation, it always finds its way home. It always wins. Thank you for sticking with me through this one. I know it was long, but stories like this deserve every detail, every breath, because they remind us what's worth fighting for. If this hit you in the feels, if it made you think about your own family, your own choices, drop a comment below and tell me. Have you ever had to draw a hard line with someone who took your love for granted? Or maybe you've been on the receiving end of grace you didn't deserve. What changed for you? And most important, tell me where you're watching from today. I read every single comment, and I love knowing this community stretches all over the world. If you felt that catharsis right alongside me, do me a solid. Hit that like button so this story reaches more people who need to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications because we've got more real life justice stories coming that will leave you speechless. Until next time, remember, family isn't just who you're born to. It's who you choose to show up for, day after day, especially when it's hard. Take care of each other out there. I'll see you in the next one.